Okay, and just a quick reintroduction because I've seen a few people that have logged in the last 2 or 3 minutes. My name is Michael Coldesina. I am the manager of travel industry accounts with Sports Travel and Tours. And just a reminder to everyone, if you'd please make sure your microphones are muted during the presentation. We have over 100 that will be joining us this evening, and we're close to that number already. The presentation this evening will last approximately 25 to 30 minutes. You can chat in a question that you have at any point in time during the presentation, and I will answer them at the end of the presentation and stay on as long as needed. So let's move into the next screen here. There we go. So induction weekend. Each year, tens of thousands of people converge upon the tiny village of Cooperstown, New York, to see baseball's greatest inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. This year, we have four people, three players and one manager that are going to be inducted. We have Jim Leland, Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, and Todd Helton. And all of us will be there next week from this weekend to see it in person. And just a reminder to everyone, if you could please mute your microphones or disable any background noise during the presentation. So hopefully at this point, everyone will have received the items on the right-hand side of the screen. With those items, one of the pieces of information contained a QR code that would give you access to your final documents. The final documents had a number of different features to them. The first page was actually different things that you would need to know, talking about your motor coach assignment, the weather, recommended clothing, food, any special meals or special needs, and then also guidance on gratuities, hotel check-in, and other items such as that. Also, there was a profile on your tour host and a daily kind of to the hour schedule. This one actually was from 2022, but yours would look very, very similar. And there you can see the profile on the tour host. Included both in the profile and then also at the top of the daily itinerary is a cell phone number for your host. We ask that if you have any questions before your trip actually starts, that you call us at our 800 number. And then use the host cell phone only for the day that your trip starts. And so that would be Friday the 19th. I know many of you may be coming in a day early, but if you're coming in a day early and have a question, please use the 1-800 number, and that number will be displayed at the end of the presentation, and we should be able to answer any questions that you might have. If for some reason you have not received in the mail the items on the right, my email address is listed at the bottom of my tile, and it'll also be on the last last slide of the presentation. So, starting off on Friday the 19th, you should be able to check in to your hotel after 3 p.m. It's possible rooms might be available prior to 3, but they should be available at 3 and afterwards, depending on your individual itineraries. And when you see the asterisks after some of these different items, that means depending on the trip that you're on the itinerary, it may vary. But the meeting or tour host will take place anywhere from 3:15 to 5:30 p.m., depending on your trip. And typically that's either going to be in the main lobby of your hotel, or it could be in one of the meeting or conference rooms that will be off the main lobby area. But in either case, if it's not in the lobby, there will be signage directing you to where those rooms are, where you can check in and meet your tour host. There is a lot of different items that you'll be getting once you check in with your host. So it's important to make that. If for some reason your flight's delayed, we are trying to track flights as best as possible, but you can always either shoot a text message or give a quick call to your tour host, let them know you're going to be delayed, and then they can make sure to make arrangements to get those items to you either later that evening or in the morning before departure into Cooperstown. Trip receptions, which include a meal and non-alcoholic beverages, start anywhere from 4 to 7:45 p.m. depending on your trip. And then for those packages that are staying at the Marriott Albany, after the trip reception, there's the Ump's Eye View Sports Talk with former Major League umpire Al Clark. If there was ever a person to steal the show in a Major League game, it was Al Clark. During his 26 seasons as a professional umpire, he officiated in several different games of note. One was Nolan Ryan's 300th win, Cal Ripken's record breaker, and the Earthquake World Series in San Francisco and Oakland in 1989. Al will give you a behind-the-scenes look at America's greatest pastime, take questions from the audience, and just give you really a perspective of what baseball's like from the perspective of a Major League umpire. On Saturday, breakfast will depend on the individual package that you're on, but breakfast will be at the hotel and it is included. And after breakfast, we'll be departing for Cooperstown. The day is going to be mostly at leisure, depending on the package that you're on. Some packages have some features that will be taking place in the Hall of Fame during the afternoon or late morning, but just make sure you refer to your itinerary, and you certainly will be able to ask questions of your tour host. There's a number of great things to see in the Hall of Fame. One of the things that I recommend is making sure somewhere, preferably at the beginning of your visit to the Hall of Fame, but at least at some point during the day, on the second floor is the Grandstand Theater, and they have a 16-minute video called Generations of the Game. It was put together within the last probably 3 or 4 years, so there's a lot of very well-known, both recent Hall of Fame inductees and those that have been that were inducted, 10, 20 years ago. But it's a great movie that really sets the tone for your visit to the Baseball Hall of Fame. The first real thing that everyone will want to make note of is the Parade of Legends. So this is where all of the returning Hall of Famers parade down Main Street. They do it in the order of their induction. So whoever was inducted the longest ago will be the first to appear on the parade. Everyone will be riding in the backs of pickup trucks on hay bales. So even if there's 3 or 4 people deep on the street, you'll still get good viewing of the Hall of Famers as they come by. So if the class of 1982 was the first represented, then they'll just proceed through 83, 84 until they get to the class of 2024, and those will be the last 4 in the parade. We recommend watching the parade from the Hall of Fame side of Main Street, but probably maybe a block and a half to 2 blocks away from the hall for your best viewing options, just because there'll be fewer people as you take a couple blocks away from the Hall of Fame. After the parade, everyone will be meeting in Doubleday Field, and what we'll do is we'll have everyone go up into the grandstands and sit. We'll have you sit based on the motor coach that you're in, because all of the motor coaches have to park off site. So we bring them in, I think about 4 or 5 at a time, load them up, and then they get on their way. But that's going to be the best place to come immediately after the parade, is come to the Doubleday Field parking lot, and then there'll be a number of Sports Travel and Tour staff members, including hosts, directing you to the grandstands and where to sit and wait for the motor coaches to come in. You will also all receive a lanyard. Now, the lanyard won't be blank like this example here. It will actually have your name on it. But it's really, this lanyard is going to be your entrance into the Hall of Fame. Because we are the official licensed travel partner of the Baseball Hall of Fame, they know the lanyard. You will also, most likely Saturday morning on your motor coach ride into Cooperstown, receive your Hall of Fame membership card and a letter from the Hall of Fame. But it's really that lanyard is all you're going to need to show. There's 3 different entrances that you can use. And if you see this map, the yellow arrow points to the entrance to Cooper Park, and this is approximately where the motor coach will let everyone off on Saturday morning. The building that is in between the yellow and orange arrows is the National Baseball Hall of Fame. So the entrance, though, that we're going to use, because everyone that is on the trip will now be a Hall of Fame member, is we're going to use the green entrance that goes in through the library. The nice thing there is there's never a line. If you try to go into the front entrance, often there'll be a lot of people lined up waiting to purchase an admission into the Hall of Fame. If you carefully go through the line and go to the entrance on the left there in the front, it'll say, I think above it, it says members or membership. You can walk in, show your lanyard, and walk right in. But the easiest way we find is just going in this library entrance. And one of the cool things that I like once you get into this small kind of atrium area is that once you come through the double doors, you're going to be looking at, there's a bench and there's a video monitor. And the video monitor plays, it'll just loop at I think when you push the button, it's Abbott and Costello's Who's on First. And at least once a year, I go there just to relax for 15, 20 minutes, watch Who's on First, get a cold drink from the drinking fountain. There are a set of restrooms at that end, and then there's also another set on the first floor by the main entrance. But it's just a great way to relax, and watching Abbott and Costello's routine never gets old. And it's always usually quiet in that area. So even on the busiest of times, you can kind of get away into that part of the Hall of Fame. And then from that library entrance, the way to get into the main part of the Hall of Fame will take you right through the plaque gallery, where you can see the plaques for all of the 300 plus members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So this is, and you will get a map upon arrival into Cooperstown Saturday morning that will give you an overview of where the different sections are to the Hall of Fame. But you can see the blue arrow here is pointing to the library entrance that will be coming in Saturday morning. And then right where you see it says Library Atrium, right about there is where you're going to be able to watch who's on first, and then make your way down to the Hall of Fame plaque gallery. And then, of course, you can go either up the stairs, or there's also an elevator to gain access to the second floor. The Hall of Fame Museum store is also on this first floor. And one nice thing with your membership is that it does give you 10% off anything purchased in the store in person or on the online store. And it includes free shipping within the continental 48 United States. So if you buy a lot of great items at the store while you're with us, you don't have to carry them all back on the plane. You can have them shipped home for free, or you can have them shipped to whoever you purchased them from. So in the second floor here, this is where the grandstand theater is, where you can see the generations of the game, which I do highly recommend. There is also a new exhibit that just opened over Memorial Day weekend, honoring the Negro Leagues. It's not updated on this map yet, but the new maps that you'll receive will list that and show that as well. Also, there are restrooms on the second floor and the third floor. On the third floor, make sure that you take a look. There's a whole kind of fan section up on the third floor, and if you look carefully, we actually have some items on display for our baseball, our Stadium Hall of Fame. This was a program that we put together over 20 years ago, where if you travel with us to see all 30 major league stadiums, we invite you to Cooperstown Hall of Fame weekend in July, and we hold an induction ceremony for you, and then your name will forever be listed in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
That'd be...
All right, let's move. Okay. So there's a lot of great places to eat in Cooperstown, and a lot of great things to see. Cooperstown's a very small little village, so literally Main Street is probably 3 to 4 blocks long at its longest. The Hall of Fame is at one end, so once you go 3 blocks away from the Hall of Fame on Main Street, you've pretty much seen everything that there is to see right in the downtown area. Doubleday Field, which we pointed out that you'll be coming to after the Parade of Legends, is about 1.5 blocks down Main Street from the Hall of Fame. But several different options for lunch. There's just a tremendous number of restaurants on Main Street or just on some of the streets leading off of Main Street. So no problem getting a bite to eat, and plenty of shopping. A lot of different baseball related shops, be it for apparel, paraphernalia, you name it, you're going to find it in Cooperstown. Okay, on Sunday, we'll be back into Cooperstown. The induction itself starts at 1:30, but we will be arriving closer to 9 o'clock. And the buses will be parked, if you can see the image there, the buses will be parked off to the right-hand side up against what is usually a cornfield. And at the most, it'll be about a 200-yard walk to the seating areas. But then the Hall of Fame and the Village of Cooperstown provides looping shuttles that will take you back up to Main Street and the Hall of Fame. If you can see in this picture, it looks like there's a line of school buses. Those basically are the shuttle buses that you'll be able to see where your seats are. Now, for those that are on the infield, home run, grand slam, or gold glove packages, the seating area, it does not open until approximately noon. So certainly take advantage of the shuttle buses, go up in town. Then at 12, we'll be able to gain entrance to the seating area. Our seats will be reserved by the trip that you're on. So, for example, with the Gold Glove, if there's 36 people on the Gold Glove, we'll have 36 seats reserved for us, so we don't have to worry about rushing to our seats. And then for the other packages, those seats are also reserved, but you'll have access to them early on. But there'll always be sports travel and tours people there, so don't feel like you have to get into your seat at 9 o'clock in the morning and stay there. You can certainly take the shuttle and spend some additional time up in at the Hall of Fame and on Main Street. There are a number of porta potty facilities at the Hall of Fame or at the induction site, and there's also food for sale. There's a huge tent that will be offering hot dogs, hamburgers, chips. There are some vegetarian items as well. It's actually a fundraiser for the local high school, and they do a pretty good job in terms of working the lines, and the prices are quite reasonable. I think last year for $9, I got 2 hot dogs, a Coke, and a bag of chips. So the prices are very, very reasonable, and the food for the hot dogs and hamburgers is actually pretty good. The induction ceremony, the induction ceremony itself starts at 1:30. The shuttle buses are running until 1 o'clock, but we suggest being in line for the shuttle bus to come back from Main Street down to the induction site by no later than 12:30. That way you're sure to get back in time for the start of the ceremony. And I think I've got a map here. So the yellow arrow points to where the shuttle buses will be departing from. The yellow star is where the large stage and tent area is located. And then the seating all goes, off to your right from there. And then the upper yellow arrow at the top of the screen points to where the Hall of Fame is. So it's 0.9 miles, I think, from the Hall of Fame and Main Street down to the induction site, with a slight downhill walk the entire way. So it's not horrible, but I would suggest making sure that you're in line no later than 12:30 to catch one of the shuttle buses to come back down to the induction site. I mentioned the portable restroom facilities. So there, as you can see from the pictures, there really is not anywhere that you can go to get out of the sun. Fortunately, we're in upstate New York. We're at a little bit higher elevation. It's never been exceedingly hot, but if you're out in the sun for 2 to 3 hours, we do want to make sure that you have sunscreen and that you use it liberally. Make sure you have a hat to cover your head. We will have a tent off to one of the sides that if someone really needs to get out of the sun, that you'll be able to come and sit there. Fortunately, the sound system that they use at the Clark Sports Center for the induction is quite well. You can pretty much walk anywhere around, even a great distance away from it, and still be able to hear the proceedings. As soon as the induction is over and we'll make our way back to the motor coaches, there will be a box lunch waiting for you with a wrap, a small salad, a piece of fruit, probably a cookie, and a cold bottle of water. We usually have to wait 25, 30 minutes from the end of the induction before they'll let the motor coaches depart. They first make sure that all of the players and their families have departed in their coaches before they let everyone else go. So this is just a nice way to make sure that everyone's got something to eat and distract themselves until we're actually underway and on our way back to the hotels. For those of you that are departing that evening, we'll go back to the airport as well and drop everyone off that's departing that evening for at Albany International Airport. If you are departing on Sunday by air, just make sure that when you check out, bring your bags down. We can put the bags on the motor coaches. The motor coaches will be secure the entire time, and then that way, when we get back, when we go to the airport, everything's ready, and you can get your luggage and then head into the airport.
Can we bring umbrellas?
And then for those of you that are staying through, have a package that includes Monday, back into Cooperstown Monday morning. The big event there is the Legends of the Game Roundtable. This starts at 10:30 a.m. at Doubleday Field. This is where all four of the members of the class of 2024 will answer questions hosted by a moderator. They have not announced who that will be this year. In the past years, except for last year, it had been Peter Gammons from ESPN. But I know he was ill last year, and so they had someone subbing in for him. So I don't know if he will be back this year. But this is really a great feature. Lasts about 45 minutes. And as you're coming into Doubleday Field, they do have people handing out cards that you can submit questions. They obviously can't get to all of them, but at least it does give you an opportunity to hopefully get a question answered by one of the four members of the class of 2024. Lunch is on your own back in Cooperstown, and the motor coaches will depart at 3:30 for the airport, and then for the hotel for those that are staying an extra night at the actually, let me backtrack on that. So the motor coaches will depart at 3:30 and then go back to, for those that are staying in Oneonta or Cooperstown, they'll go back to the hotel in Oneonta or Cooperstown for anyone that is driven in. Then they will go to Albany International Airport, and then they will stop at the Marriott Albany for anyone that is doing an extra night and then flying out the next morning. For those that are staying at the Marriott Albany, those motor coaches will depart for the airport and then go back to the hotel for anyone that is either driven in or is staying an extra night. For all of these, just remember to check your individual itineraries, as things are a little bit different depending on the trip that you're on. And I think that's the last slide. So there is my contact information. Now that's actually the longer email address of mine. You can use it, but the shorter one is, if you look at my tile, it just says mike@stattravel.com. So let me leave that up there for a little bit, and I'm going to pull up the question tab here and start answering questions, because I know a number of them have come in. So let's see if I can go back to the beginning and start answering questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And Catherine, I see your message. I will make sure I email you tomorrow with the link for the final documents. Okay, and then someone is asking us to see where our seats are located during induction day. So I'm going to go back a screen here for a minute or two and show you as best I can based on the image that we have. Let's see. Okay, so can't really see it well here, but our seats, so those that are on the Gold Glove, the home run, the Grand Slam, or the infield will be in front of this low fence in the seats that are provided by the Hall of Fame. And if we go back two more, you can kind of see it in the center of this picture. There's kind of green grass, and then it looks like there's people behind a low fence. So those trips, the Gold Glove, the Grand Slam, the home run, and the infield will be seated within this section in the center section or center left if you're facing the stage. And then the base hit and the extra innings will be immediately on the other side of this fence in the center, kind of as close to the center as we can get to the stage. So that's about the best I can show you at this point. And then let me just quickly go back to that slide and go back into the questions. There we go. All right. Let's see. Okay, so a couple of people have not received their packet, and I'll be able to get a printout of all these questions, so I'll make sure that we get emails out to you and check on the packets that's coming. Worst case scenario is we can obviously get you the final document link emailed to you, and if you don't receive the packet, we'll have extra packets at check-in. Let's see. Okay, so I've got someone that's arriving late on the 19th around 11 p.m. So what I would do is, in fact, I will double check, but if you've given us your flight information, then we should already be aware that you're coming in late. There will be notes for your tour host advising that you're coming in late, but what I would do is if you've received the packet and you've used the QR code to access your final documents, the name and cell number for your tour host should be there. So sometime on the 19th, to just reach out to them and you'll be able to arrange, how you want to meet up in the morning to get anything that they are giving out earlier that day during check-in. They can either leave it for you at the front desk or just get it in the morning at breakfast. Okay, someone's asking if they can use a foldable walker. No, we can certainly bring. There'll be room underneath the bus to put the walker, and there's no restrictions in terms of bringing it into the Hall of Fame or even bringing it to the seating area, especially since it's foldable. That's not a problem. And some of the packets did get mailed out on Monday, so it is possible that they will be arriving tomorrow or possibly Thursday. But a number of them did go out prior to Independence Day on the 3rd of July, but there were some that got mailed out on Monday. Okay, and so someone was asking just for clarification on the buses. So the buses will always on Saturday will drop off right at the corner of the Hall of Fame and the entrance to Cooper Park. So that all you'll have to do is walk about 30 paces once you get off the motor coach, and you'll be able to enter the Hall of Fame. Saturday night, though, the buses will pick up at Doubleday Field, which is a block and a half down Main Street from the Hall of Fame. And then on Sunday, they will drop off directly at the induction site, and they will park there and then be in place for when the induction is over. For those that have packages that include Monday, the motor coaches will drop off at that same place at the end of the Hall of Fame, the entrance to Cooper Park, and they will also pick up there as well Monday afternoon. Question about how long is the induction ceremony? So it does vary from year to year depending on how many inductees and how long they speak. But with 4 inductees, I would expect it to go approximately 2.5 hours. Once it starts at 1:30, it probably will be about 2 o'clock before we hear the first of the inductees, just because they do introduce all of the returning Hall of Famers with a brief, 30, 40-second overview of their career. But I would expect about 2.5 hours. Can we bring induction umbrellas? Excuse me. can we bring umbrellas to the induction area before or after the ceremony? So certainly you can bring umbrellas in and you can use them up until the point that the induction starts. And they will make an announcement, at this point, we're getting ready to start. If you have an umbrella, please lower the umbrella. And that's basically if you're in the area viewing. I mean, if you've gone outside of the viewing area, you certainly can use the umbrella. But if you're in the main viewing area, they will ask you at the time the induction starts to lower the umbrella. Any chances for autographs? So yes. I mean, you can get autographs at a price. There's probably, in addition to returning Hall of Famers, there's a number of former players that will be in town signing autographs at different locations at businesses on Main Street. We will at the and I forgot to mention, on Saturday we will have a booth set up at the entrance to Doubleday Field on Main Street that will be always staffed by at least 2 sports travel and tours people. About half the time it'll probably be me, but we'll have on site there a listing of all of the players that we're aware of, when they will be signing, where they will be signing, and what the cost is for an autograph, depending on whether it's signing a picture, signing an item. But there's also possibilities of getting autographs just by chance, by running into former players or former managers, baseball-related celebrities in Cooperstown. The key is knowing what they look like now. I can't tell you how many times I've walked down Main Street, thought I recognized somebody, but because it's 4, 5, 6 years after their playing career, they're not in a uniform, and they look a little bit different. I couldn't figure out who it was until after the moment passed, but definitely a possibility. In fact, last year, I was at dinner Friday night, before the induction, with a small group. We were right in Cooperstown, and about halfway through dinner, a guy tapped me on my shoulder and said something to me, and I turn around, and it's Pete Rose. Just totally floored me. I could not believe it. I was a Phillies fan and still a Phillies fan all my life, and I literally just said, Pete Rose, as I live and breathe. I can't believe it. Shook his hand. A bunch of us took pictures. So there's always that possibility. You just have to be on your best lookout. Is parking free at the Albany Marriott? So parking is free at all of the different hotels that we're using, so not a problem there. Let's see. And so someone's asking, will the shuttle be running to the airport Tuesday morning? So for all of the properties that we are using in Albany, so the Hampton Inn, the Fairfield Inn, the Holiday Inn Express, the Marriott, basically any of the properties in Albany all have an airport shuttle, and they're all going to be operating every day. So those transfers are actually not provided by Sports Travel and Tours. If you are staying at the hotel in Oneonta or in Cooperstown, then you're going to be using our motor coach to be able to get to the airport on Monday afternoon after the day in Cooperstown. If you're staying in either Oneonta or Cooperstown and leaving on Tuesday, if you're not driving on Tuesday morning, and you're staying in one of those Cooperstown or Oneonta hotels, then you might want to contact us to stay at the Marriott Albany. But the shuttles will all be running every day of the week. Most of them run from about 4:30, 5 a.m. until about 1 a.m. So.
Because I think.
Next question. Is there a bag policy at the museum or the induction ceremony? There is not, although they do ask you just to make sure there aren't any open containers of water and no food when you come into the Hall of Fame. And then someone's asking, for the base hit package, where do we receive the lanyard, Hall of Fame membership card, and different items? So all of those items will be given out once you arrive into either Albany, Cooperstown, or Oneonta, and you have an opportunity to meet your tour host on Friday. There's just way too much stuff to ship out to everyone. And specifically with the Hall of Fame membership card and letter, Typically, we give those out Saturday morning on the motor coach ride into Cooperstown. Next question. For food and beverage available on induction day by the local high school team, do we need cash? Yes. In fact, I don't remember if they do anything other than cash. Everything else at the induction site, because they do have merchandise tents, they will take. I think they're only plastic. But yeah, the food that's for sale specifically Sunday at the induction site from the high school, I believe, is only cash. I don't remember if they have any way of taking a credit card payment. Let's see. Just checking on any questions. Another one on the umbrella. No, yeah, there's no clear bag policy, so you can bring any type of bag in. That's fine, either for the induction or into the Hall of Fame.
Take the backpack.
And touched a little bit about autographs. Yeah, one of the big autograph areas is directly across the street from where our booth will be set up on Main Street. Number of different players will be there, and like I said, we will try to put this up on our Facebook page in the days ahead of next weekend. But we will have copies at the booth of who's scheduled to be at what location on what day and how much they're charging. Do you need to bring your own items to be autographed? You can, but there's also items available to be purchased. And if you aren't looking to have it autographed in front of you, I will suggest going to the Hall of Fame website and going to the store and looking for whether it's autographed baseballs or any other items that are signed, because you do get a 10% discount as a Hall of Fame member, and of course free shipping. So that might be a possibility as well. And then someone asked about Pete Rose at the Hall of Fame. So although Pete Rose is not been inducted into the Hall of Fame, there's certainly plenty of items within the Hall of Fame that have to do with Pete and his career, just because of the number of records and situations that he was in. But no, he's not. And where I met him was not in the Hall of Fame, but it was at a restaurant just down the street. Dress code. Are shorts okay for all of the events? Absolutely. Absolutely. And team apparel is also very much encouraged. You'll see that many of the people at the induction are going to be wearing their team colors. Are small coolers allowed at the induction ceremony for extra water? Yes. And so for those that are on the Grand Slam or the Gold Glove, Grand Slam, Home Run, or infield packages, water during the induction will be provided by the Hall of Fame. And then for those on the base hit and the extra innings, Sports Travel and Tours will be providing water during the induction ceremony. Let's see. Any restrictions on cameras or camera bags at the induction? The only restrictions are no cameras on tripods unless you're an accredited photojournalist. And I think video record. I don't think there's a restriction on video recording that I'm aware of. And like I said, the only real restriction is, cameras on tripods and such that it's going to be possibly blocking someone's view. Let's see. For the yellow school buses shuttling from the induction site to the village, where did they pick up? Where did they drop off in Cooperstown? So they will pick up at the induction site, and it'll be very evident where they are, because when we arrive at the induction site on Sunday, we will be on the opposite side of where the shuttle buses will be, and you'll be able to see them. Where they drop off in Cooperstown is going to be pretty much right at the same location that we will have been dropped off on Saturday morning, which is at the entrance to Cooper Park on Main Street, which is where the actual Hall of Fame building ends. And that's also then where you'll pick up the shuttle to come back to the induction site on Sunday if you do that. Let's see. And I think that is the last question that I have, oh, here's another one. Let's see. If we bought tickets to get autographs from certain players, can we leave the Hall of Fame and come back later afterwards if needs be? So yeah, because you have a membership, you have unlimited entry. So you can come and go as many times during the day as you need to. And as I mentioned, you'll have a lanyard that will have your name on it that will say Sports Travel and Tours. Literally, you just flash that. That's going to be your entrance. You don't have to get out your membership card. And just to kind of reiterate, when you get dropped off Saturday morning, you'll basically be directed to go through the library entrance. When you can exit that way as well. But if you're coming back into the Hall of Fame from the front entrance that's on Main Street, if you do see a lineup, there's people lined up to buy admission to get into the Hall of Fame. Don't wait in that line. Just make your way up to the front entrance and then over to there's, I think, 3 or 4 sets of doors. If you go over to the far left or anywhere where it's not people waiting in line, go in, and then you can just kind of walk to the front of the line, show your lanyard, and walk right in. Can anything be stored on the bus during the day, like items we may buy? So on Saturday, for example, you can leave stuff on the bus. The bus will be on a secure location, but you're not going to be able to access whatever you've left on the motor coach until the end of the day when it's time to come back. On Sunday, the coaches will be on site. In a pinch, you can get access to it. So if you needed to leave something there, it may not be super easy depending on, usually the drivers all stay on site and kind of have their own little barbecue. So it is possible to get something that you would have left on the coach on Sunday. And then for those packages that are coming back in on Monday, the buses will be parked off site. So anything that you leave on the bus Monday morning, you won't be able to access it until the bus comes back to pick everyone up in the afternoon. Okay, and then someone's asking, they're going to New York City via Amtrak on Sunday night. Will the shuttle go to the train station? So the hotel shuttles only go to the airport, but it should be really easy to get either a taxi or an Uber or Lyft. It's probably no more than about a 15-minute ride to the Amtrak station, which is literally, it's right across the river from downtown Albany in Rensselaer, but it's called the Albany Rensselaer Station. All right, I do not see any other questions that have come in. But if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Like I mentioned, if it's before Friday, July 19th, call us at Sports Travel and Tours. If it's the 19th or during your trip, you can certainly reach out to your tour host. And if you don't have your itinerary yet, you will get that in the tour host name, and cell phone number will be on the itineraries. So if there's no other questions,
Mike,
yes.
I can't do the chat, so there was an email that had trip itinerary, tour host Steve Allman. Is that what you're calling the final itinerary that came as an email?
Correct. It should have, I think it's about 9 or 10 pages long, depending on your trip. It has
what you need to know.
What you need to know. It also has a tour host profile, and then the itinerary is 3 to 4 pages, depending on your trip.
Okay, so what's coming in the mail are those other little items?
Yep, there's a kind of like a nice little Sports Travel and Tours bag. It'll have a luggage wrap handle, and then it has a card that has a QR code that you can scan to get access to the final documents. And then there was, I think, something else that was.
So my question is, what we just told, are those final documents, or are there different final documents?
No, so the final documents is what you would gain access to through the QR code. But the packets that were sent out, there were some for some of the trips that were sent out just on Monday. So it's possible that they may not be arriving until tomorrow or Thursday. A number of them did go out on the last Wednesday before Independence Day, but some of them didn't go out until just this past Monday.
Okay, so the QR code stuff that's coming, that's the same or different than this 9-page deal we got in an email?
No, that's exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did have a couple other questions that came in. Do we arrange airport hotel transfers on our own, or will that be done for us? So the hotels that are all in Albany provide the airport transfers. So some of them are on demand, some of them are on the half hour, but just check with them. If you're arriving, you've got two options. If you should have your final documents, and there is a number for the hotel that you're staying at in the final document, so you can use that to call the hotel and ask them to send the shuttle. But there's also a courtesy phone in baggage claim, and you can use that as well. And then for the return at the end of the trip, I would just check with the front desk just to confirm what the schedule is for the shuttle. And then depending on what that schedule is, and I don't know if they'll ask you to sign up, or it's just, yep, we've got a on-demand shuttle, just come on down and we'll take you to the airport. None of the hotels are more than about 2.5 miles from the airport for those hotels that are in Albany. The Hampton Inn, the Marriott are probably just under 2 miles. The Fairfield's just over 2 miles. The Holiday Inn Express, I think, is like 2.5, maybe closer to 3. But they're all just right in a long row, very close to the airport. Okay, I don't see anything else. So unless anyone else has any questions, thanks again for joining us. And I did mention that we did record this, so I'll send out the recording hopefully before noon Eastern time tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.